This is the Fraser Institute report just released this week, and it says how badly you are
In
taxed.
just 30 seconds, you'll know how the Canadian tax burden has changed over the past 62 years. In 1961, the average Canadian family, including couples, couples with kids, and single Canadians, spent 34% of its income on taxes and 57% on housing, food, and clothing combined. Fast forward 62 years, the average family paid 43% of its income on taxes and 36% on the basic necessities of life in 2023.
Now, we're going to dive a little deeper into this, but there's the slide illustrating this. Now, this is absolutely shocking. 57% in 1961 of the average Canadian couple's income was going to necessities, 34% taxes. Today, 36%. That's almost just as marginally over a third of total income is going to necessities. That's food and shelter. Now, you ask, what's the brown area there in 2023 and the gray area in 1961? That's discretionary spending. It includes things like alcohol and tobacco, but it also includes things that are not so discretionary, like healthcare, like transportation, like education. These are things that are not exactly essential if you never want to go anywhere, of course, if you just want to sit in your house and have a subsistence living. But the point is, people were spending less on that in 1961, and they're spending more on that in 2023. But they're paying 43% of their total income on taxes, and they have virtually nothing left over to spend on extra things. This is what is so fascinating about this. Let's have a little. Yeah. Now, 43% of your total income on taxes, that is outrageous. So no wonder people are making decisions about what they can afford. Not exactly over-reported this week. The Toronto Sun picked it up. The Sunshine picked the story up. Thank God, because the Fraser Institute does marvelous work. I've covered their work in the past. They have done superlative research on Canadian healthcare and how much it really costs. It's not free. If anyone out there thinks your healthcare is free, you're not filing taxes every year because you can see how much of your provincial tax is sucked up in healthcare. We are paying more in healthcare dividends to the government than it would cost to pay for private insurance. The Fraser Institute has demonstrated this. We're not saving any money, and we're getting second, third-rate healthcare in return because it's awful. It's just awful. I mean, look at this. It's going up, up, up every year, increasingly going up. There's a few dips there, but under Trudeau, massive, massive spending. And you wonder why? Where's your tax dollars going? Trudeau government spends twice as much as it takes in revenue. I wrote this story for the Post Millennial back in March. It's so awash in debt that it's actually spending twice as much as it receives in revenue. That hasn't changed since the last budget. The last budget didn't even pay for the spending programs. It just increased the national debt. Trudeau knows this. He thinks that you're so stupid you don't know it. But let me read from this report for a minute because it is absolutely astounding what's been going on here. The Canadian Consumer Tax Index tracks the total tax bill of the average Canadian family from 1961 to 2023, including all types of taxes. That bill has increased by 2,700% since 1961. Taxes have grown much more rapidly than any other single expenditure for the average Canadian family. Expenditures on shelter increased by 2006, food by 901%, 2006%, sorry, food by 901%, and clothing by 478% between 1961 and 2023. The increase in the tax bill has also greatly outpaced the increase in the Consumer Price Index, which measures the average price that consumers pay for food, shelter, clothing, transportation, health and personal care, education, and other items. In 1923, and sir, in 2023, the average Canadian family earned an income of $109,235, $109,235, and paid total taxes equaling $46,988. Sounding it's getting very close to 50%, half of your income going right back to the government. And if you're paying capital gains taxes, two-thirds are going straight back to the government. In 1961, the average family had an income of $5,000, paid a total tax bill of $1,675. Now, you often hear people talk about how it was possible at one time in decades past to live a comfortable life on a single income. Both parents didn't have to work just to pay the taxes and the bills, just to pay the mortgage or the rent, just to keep the food in the refrigerator, and never mind the rest of the things that are sort of necessary but not absolutely essential, like owning a car, like putting gas in a car. The government actually thinks that's not an essential thing anymore. I mean, that's a luxury because we're being pushed further and further down a globalist timeline, a globalist agenda, where we're not going to own anything. We're not going to own our house. We're not going to own a car. We're not going to have the means to travel anywhere because it's all going to be banned under environmental regulations. So that's where this is going. But you do recall people saying it was possible at one time, not that long ago in Canada's history, that lived comfortably on a single income. Now, yes, it was usually the male, the father in the family, the husband, who was the chief breadwinner. Until the mid 1970s, the two-income families were quite rare in Canada. But it was possible, and I'm not arguing whether or not the husband or the wife should be working, shouldn't be working. I'm saying it was possible to survive on one income, whether that income came from the husband or the wife. In terms of this argument, it's irrelevant. It was possible to live comfortably and not worry about ending up in the poorhouse or losing your house because you couldn't afford the mortgage, or being kicked out, or being evicted because you couldn't pay the rent, or not being able to go to the grocery store because you couldn't afford the price of groceries. That was possible in Canada not so long ago. And that's why this Fraser Institute report is
read their
so
verdicts.
sorry, is so interesting because this is factual. This is how the tax rate has gone up, and this is how necessities. We're paying 21% less on necessities in 2023 than we were in 1961. No wonder people used to have better dinners, diets. You could afford a T-bone steak at least once a week. You could afford to eat meat. You could afford to eat well because the price of groceries didn't go through the roof and you had enough left after taxes to eat well. This is the evidence. This is the way it was. This is the way it is in 2023. And once again, the Fraser Institute has scored a big one with this report because it so accurately illustrates what the government is doing to us. And what is the government doing to us? The Trudeau government continues to screw us. Thank you for watching this episode of Stand on Guard and being a part of the Creighton's Right channel. If you've watched this episode to this point, you've watched it all. And that's really important for a small station like this. We always say subscribe, hit the bell, be a part of the Creighton resistance. Resolve to resist. That's what we're doing. And if you become a subscriber, if you're a supporter of this station or a member through Substack, through YouTube, and now you can be a local as well, that's so important to us because I couldn't do this without you. I made a decision to become an independent journalist about a year ago because I wanted to bring all of my experience in the military, in journalism, to you. I don't promise anything I can't deliver. I don't offer clickbait. I offer truth. The truth is out there, and it's my job to bring that truth to light and to you. Thanks for being a part of the Creighton's Right resistance, and we'll see you again soon.
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need a political change, but we also need to resolve to resist.